Shalom, Saints, and thank you for joining us for our Searching the Scriptures episode. Each Thursday, we gather with the expectation that YeHoVaH is going to meet with us here. And so I want you to grab something to write with, grab something to write on, and of course, grab your Bible and prepare yourself for some inspirational teachings, quotes you can use, and of course, the truth that set men free. So stay tuned for Searching the Scriptures. Shalom, Saints. The last thing Yeshua said to his disciples before he ascended was, "Go and make disciples of all nations." This command is known as the Great Commission. Our ministries have taken this commission very seriously and developed a discipleship training program that will change the way discipleship has been done up to now. Most discipleship training programs are denominational in their approach and is doing exactly what the Pharisees and Sadducees did in the days of Yeshua. Yeshua said, "You search the world over to find one proselyte, and you make them twice the son of hell as they were before you found them." The vision of Arthur Bailey Ministries and House of Israel is to be a worshiping people, an evangelistic community, a discipleship center, an equipping network, and a worldwide witness for Yeshua, the Messiah. In fulfillment of the Great Commission, we've developed Discipleship 101.tv. Discipleship 101.tv is a 2-year seminary-level discipleship training program that takes a Messianic Hebrew roots approach to the Scriptures. Now that we've completed this program, we are making it available to people around the world for free. We now have the opportunity to get it into every federal and state prison library and libraries around the nation. We also have the potential for getting this program accredited in universities and Bible colleges around the country. Now here's where we need your help. We need you to stand with us at the $1,500 level to help us get these workbooks printed and DVDs printed and duplicated in order to get them placed in prison libraries around the nation. For your help, we want to bless you with all of the workbooks and DVDs for each class as a thank you for helping us get this valuable information out. For your partnership, you will get all 8 workbooks and all of the DVDs by partnering with us today at the $1,500 level. Thank you in advance for helping us get this valuable, extensive, Messianic Hebrews discipleship training program to the nations of the world. By doing so, we're doing exactly what Yeshua said to do when he commissioned us to make disciples of the nation. Join us in this most important mission of making disciples of the nation by partnering with us today at the $1,500 level. You can partner with us at this level by sending your partnership check or money order to House of Israel. If you would like to pledge your partnership with us and make payments, please do so on our website at www.arthurbaileyministries.com. Just let us know you would like to make a pledge and make payments. Please help us get this material published so it can be placed in prison libraries and libraries around the nation. Partner with us today at the $1,500 level. Thank you. Shalom, Saints. The biblical New Year and the early feast of Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread and First Fruits are close at hand. We're already making preparations for you and your family to join us for these commanded feasts. If you are a minister in training, or believe you are called to ministry, I'm setting aside special time to meet with you and give you opportunity to ask me questions on any subject relating to ministry, setting up assemblies, personal life, and simply to have fellowship with you and assist in preparing you to move forward in your calling. So I hope you're making preparations to join us here at House of Israel in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon at the early feasts of YeHoVaH. See you at the feast. Shalom. Shalom. I'm Arthur Bailey, Chancellor of the accredited Hebrew Roots University. Hebrew Roots University is the world's first and only accredited theological university that approaches Scripture from a Messianic Hebrew Roots perspective. At Hebrew Roots University, you can earn an accredited associate's, bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degree in several disciplines. I'm ecstatic to announce our Laborers Grant available to all HRU students. Our new Laborers Grant enables us to eliminate the $50 application fee and cover 50% of tuition costs across all degree programs, removing additional financial barriers and making our tuition even more affordable to all students. There are no prerequisites or pre-qualifications required. Simply apply and the grant would be automatically applied to your account. All students that apply today will be given a laborer's grant which will cover 50% off all tuition costs and will be automatically awarded for each term the student is enrolled. You can apply now. If you have any questions at any time during the application process, please do not hesitate to reach out to our admissions team using the Have Questions section at the bottom of our website. The implementation of our new laborers grant will provide access to as many people as possible from all nations worldwide who are desirous of higher education in ministry and becoming laborers in the end-time harvest of the kingdom. Here at Hebrew Roots University, we are dedicated to our mission to teach the true gospel of the kingdom, the gospel Yeshua taught, to people of all nations and to eradicate biblical illiteracy worldwide. We look forward to walking with you on this exciting journey. So check us out now at HebrewRootsUniversity.com. That's HebrewRootsUniversity.com. Don't wait. Take advantage of our new laborers grant. So apply now. HebrewRootsUniversity.com. Thank you. Shalom.
House of Israel International Services are held weekly at 3601 Rose Lake Drive, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28217, 11 a.m. Saturday mornings and 7 p.m. Thursday evenings, Eastern Time. This live broadcast is made possible through financial contributions from brothers and sisters like you. Your financial support is greatly appreciated. Thank you. Motivating. Inspiring, challenging, encouraging, deepening, strengthening, and enhancing your faith. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to House of Israel International's live worship service.
Shalom, saints. Greetings. Welcome to our Thursday's Searching the Scriptures. Today, we are continuing in the book of Numbers, and we are almost done with Numbers verse-by-verse study. We're in chapter 35 today, and we're going to be talking about the land of the Levites. So I want to encourage you to make sure you got something to write with, something to write on, to take some really good notes. Got some information that I want to share with you this evening that I think would really be helpful and informative. And so you want to take a moment and invite your friends and your family, those of you who have Facebook pages and YouTube pages, and you're on our website, take a moment and invite others to join in with us for our teaching tonight, the land of the Levites. We're going to be looking at Numbers chapter 35, verses 1 through 34. And so we certainly hope that you'll be able to join in with us and invite others to join in with us. You can subscribe for updates on our website. Make sure that you go to ArthurBaileyMinistries.com, and there on the watch page, if you're watching us live, right above that screen, you'll see where you can subscribe. If you're on YouTube, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, while you're on YouTube, you can check out some of our shorts and our videos. And on Instagram, you can follow us there, as well as on Facebook and on TikTok. And we certainly encourage you again to share our social media pages with your family, with your friends, and of course they will be blessed if you are being blessed by these teachings. At the end of the teaching today, you'll be able to ask questions, you'll be able to receive prayer, and you'll be given an opportunity to give. The vision of House of Israel is to be a worshiping people, an evangelistic community, a discipleship center, an equipping network, and a worldwide witness for Yeshua the Messiah. Our declaration for YeHoVaH's blessings. I declare, this is my season for peace, power, promises, and prosperity. I declare the peace of YeHoVaH in my life and in my body. I declare the power of YeHoVaH to manifest fully in my life. I declare the promises of YeHoVaH fulfilled in my life. I declare the prosperity of YeHoVaH to permeate every area of my life. And I declare I will walk in obedience to YeHoVaH every day of my life. Father in heaven, we're so grateful to be here tonight. We're thankful to be together again and in your presence. And we pray that your presence manifest in the midst of us. We welcome you in our midst. And not only in this place, but wherever your people are gathered, joining us in this broadcast, we ask, Father, that you'll move in the midst of them. We pray for healing, for deliverance. We pray, Father, for captives to be set free from whatever bind them, for eyes to be open, hearts to be illuminated. Cause your people, Father, to learn of you and to grow in you, that we may become mature in Messiah. And as we go through this teaching tonight, Father, give us ears to hear. Give us eyes to see. Give us the ability to comprehend the things that you reveal to us, and then show us how to incorporate them in our daily lives. Forgive us for our transgressions. Cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Create in us clean hearts. Renew the right spirit in us. And of course, Father, we pray for your kingdom to come, for your will to be done in Messiah Yeshua. Amen. So today, we're going to be looking at Numbers chapter 35, verses 1 through 34, and the message titled, The Land of the Levites. Now, we have one more chapter to get through, and I really did my best to try to keep this from being a two-part series, because there's so much information to really pull into this particular teaching. And so we're going to move, and we have a few more slides than normal, but I wanted to get it all done. And I would encourage you with the verses with the information that we're going to share with you today, that if you desire to probe further, that you really search some of these things out. And so there are many things that I left out. I wanted to tie some of this to New Testament thinking, but you'll see that as we go through this particular portion of Numbers. Last week in the previous chapter, we saw YeHoVaH instruct Moses to command the Israelites and to tell them when they enter Canaan, the land that will be allotted to them as an inheritance, that it would have boundaries. And the 12 tribes were allotted land as an inheritance per YeHoVaH's instructions. Levi, the 13th tribe, and I know I keep mentioning this because some people are under the impression that there are only 12 tribes of Israel, when in fact that there are 13 tribes. There's 12 tribal lands. And Levi, the 13th tribe, was not given tribal land. So there is no land of Levi. But instead, Levi was given land within the 12 tribal lands, and we're going to see that here tonight. And this study is going to address the land of the Levites, or the land that was given to the Levites. Now, YeHoVaH set clear, achievable goals and boundaries for Israel to help them stay focused and motivated for the journey ahead of them. And what you'll see from Genesis to Revelation, that YeHoVaH gives instructions. He gives instructions on what he expects from his people, and he also gives instructions concerning the consequences of those who fail to comply with his instructions. We see it happening in the beginning in Genesis when YeHoVaH told the children, Mr. and Mrs. Adam, of all the trees they could eat, that they were not to eat of a particular tree, and that the day they ate of that tree, they would surely die. We go forward, we see where Noah was given some specific instructions, and then Jude lets us know that Noah preached to the people of this day, and the people refused to listen to what Noah was saying, and of course he said he was going to bring a flood on the land, which he did. And then YeHoVaH showed Abraham the land that he would inherit, and he told him from whatever ground his foot tread upon. And so we saw from Abraham's journey that he went from the Mesopotamia region up to Haran and down to Canaan, and then all the way over into Egypt and back. YeHoVaH told Isaac and Jacob about the land they would inherit. And then he gave Moses the boundaries of the land for each tribe after he had brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Initially, he took them to the boundaries. They sent 12 tribes in. 2 of them came back with a positive report. 10 came back with a negative report. And then YeHoVaH swore in his wrath that those who refused to listen to him, that their carcasses will fall in the wilderness. And for 40 years, Israel wandered in the wilderness until all of those individuals were dead. Now we are on the threshold of the children of Israel, about the end of the land, and YeHoVaH establishes boundaries for the tribes that are going to go into the land. In this chapter, he laid out the instructions for the land of the Levites with its cities and suburbs. As you can see from what I've just shared with you, that there is a pattern of showing visions of the future plans that YeHoVaH gives. YeHoVaH, I remember, and we call these things today deja vu. You know, there's certain things that we see a glimpse of, and it takes us into this place to where you think, you know, you've been there before. You've seen this before. And as these things happen, it almost gives you the impression that YeHoVaH is showing you something that is connected to something that he has shown you, to kind of either tell you you are on the right path, or to warn you, depending on the connection that you make with the things that he has shown you in the deja vu that you may currently be experiencing. But YeHoVaH gives vision. He show us where he wants to take us. some of us have had visions of seeing things that we were going to become, things that we were going to do. And while being in that place and reflecting back, that's where that deja vu comes from, because it's like now you're seeing yourself walking in something that the Most High has shown you that you were going to be walking in. And part of this is to keep people focused. And you'll see as we go through this particular passage that YeHoVaH is doing a few things. One, he's trying to motivate his people to keep moving forward. And the way he's motivating them is he's giving them instructions about the land. They haven't entered into the land yet, but he's telling them where the boundaries of their tribes are going to be. He's given them the territory that they're going to inherit. Now he's given the Israelite Levites the boundaries for their cities and their suburbs. And again, I believe it's to keep his people focused on the present or on the future while they are in the present, remembering. And he tells us to remember the past accomplishments in order to motivate his people to keep pressing forward regardless of perceived opposition. As I was preparing this teaching to present to you and thinking about ways that he's motivated me, things that he's shown me, and hopefully to motivate you, because there are situations that you face that can be discouraging. They can be depressing. And this is why it's important to remember what he has shown you, remember what he said to you, because as we're going to see in Habakkuk, it's like if he told you he was going to do something, you can bank on that. He's going to accomplish that. Vision and goals are critical for YeHoVaH's people. Without vision, the people perish. Proverbs 29 tells us in verse 18, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keep the law, happy is he. And this is one of the ways you'll know that if you're walking in something the Almighty has given you, that he's revealed to you, then it's imperative for you to operate according to his instructions as you move forward. Father doesn't give us something that is going to pull us away from his instructions. He's not giving us something for the intent of blessing us, knowing that if it's going to redirect us from his law, which those who do not hearken diligently to obey is going to be cursed, he's not going to put us in a position to curse us in the pursuit of a blessing. This makes absolutely no sense. And yet people think these things. Vision is key to staying focused. And here's Habakkuk 2:3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it surely will come. It will not tarry. Every single day you and I have opportunity to be discouraged. Every single day we have the opportunity to want to give up, or to throw in the towel, or to turn around and go back, or to think that, this is it. And yet, all he wants us to do is stay focused. Because remember, when those spies came back and discouraged Israel, the Israelites come to the conclusion that they couldn't do what the Almighty said they could do. And that's a terrible place to be in. In fact, it angered the Almighty that they would reduce him to their level, as if going into the land was going to be the work of their hand and not the work of his hand, when he had already shown them how powerful his hands are. Yeshua endured the cross because of the joy of the resurrection. And this is what the Hebrew writer is trying to communicate to us in chapter 12. He says, look unto Yeshua, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him. See, sometimes you got to see on the other side of what you're dealing with at this moment. If you can't see beyond this moment, you're in trouble. You got to look beyond what you are going through going through, knowing that what Father has said, what he has spoken, he didn't bring us this far to abandon us. And so, like I've said before, if you're going through hell, don't stop. You got to keep pressing. You got to keep enduring. You got to endure to the end. This is what Yeshua said this is what Yeshua did according to Hebrews 12. Looking unto Yeshua, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of Elohim. What shame? Well, when he went to that cross, man, they hurled insults at him. Before he got there, they beat him. They gambled over his clothes. They called him all kinds of names. They said some terrible things to him. And he, at the end, said what? Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. See, he know what he's doing. He know what he came to do. They don't have a clue as to what's going on here, so don't hold it to their charge. And there are people sometimes, brothers and sisters, that oppose you. They come against you. They don't understand what Father has put in you. And they will get in your way. They will try to discourage you. They will try to hold you back and tell you, you can't do this and you can't do that and you shouldn't do this. And yet, you have to look beyond that and continue to move forward. There's been several goals YeHoVaH has given within the vision he has given us. We have established our world premier discipleship curriculum. When we started that teaching over there on Hill Road, I had no idea it would become a curriculum. I was simply trying to train people. I went all the way back when I wrote the book, Sunday is Not the Sabbath, had no idea that would be the beginning of over 55 published materials. No idea. Had no idea when Father was putting all this in us, the discipleship curriculum, the leadership curriculum. It wasn't a curriculum, we were doing it. We were coming into a space just like this and being trained, being discipled, being equipped. And then the natural transition from discipleship was to leadership. Had no idea our discipleship would be accredited, our curriculum for our leadership would be accredited, and then we would establish the first Hebrew roots university, a university that is based on the Hebrew roots of the faith, not some Christian philosophy. And then our ministers training courses 1 and 2. On top of that, and I'm going somewhere with this, we've established houses of Israel nationally and internationally. Brother Marcus just started and is working on the organizing of the first House of Israel in South America. We have House of Israel North America, House of Israel UK or Europe, House of Israel Africa. And part of why we're here tonight is to fulfill a goal of mine, and that is to create a verse-by-verse video commentary of all 66 books of the Bible. Now that, from a Messianic Hebrew roots perspective, that's 39 Old Testament books. Currently, we're about to complete the 5th. So we've got Malachi, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. Our next goal is to complete Deuteronomy. And what I'm looking at is because looking at the state of America and the state of the world, it's important as I look back on how missions and ministries established their ministry to train and equip others to go and establish ministries and missions around the world. It starts with curriculums. It starts with written material to train and to educate, to get everybody on the same page. And so looking at Scripture, we got all of these various views of Scripture from various denominations. And then there are these commentaries that have been created. And what we're doing is we're doing a video commentary. You know, it dawned on me this morning or yesterday just what was going on. I mean, I'm just doing a verse-by-verse study of the Bible with the intent of getting all of the books of the Bible, verse-by-verse studies done. But now, you know, it's like, okay, this is one of those times when now I see what's going on while it's happening. I didn't see discipleship while it was happening, becoming a curriculum or any of the other materials. And now we're going to go through the New Testament. Currently we're in Mark. We've completed 16 books of the New Testament. This will be number 16. And there's 27. And then afterwards, if Jehovah's will, to create a verse-by-verse video commentary of the 14 books of the Apocrypha. Because it's like we're gonna leave a legacy and material for the next generation and the generation after that. And this is the way you and I have to think, that what we are enduring and going through at this moment is not just for us. Jehovah is a generational Elohim. He thinks all the way. I mean, when I was thinking about this, and it's like, okay, Abraham, he's telling Abraham, Abraham, your descendants are going to go and they're going to be oppressed for 400 years. Now, Abraham is not going to be anywhere around. Why is he telling him that? I mean, he's speaking to Abraham about stuff that's going to happen when Abraham is long dead and gone. You see, and then recorded it. And so now the people who become that people see that they're not a afterthought, they were a forethought. That when you look at where you are and you think of all the generations that had to come and go to get you to this point, that all of them who came before you was purposed to get you here. And for you to accomplish the things that Father is putting in you for the generations that are to come. So we have to think from a generational perspective. Therefore, you must look past your self-imposed limitations. Well, you're saying, brother, well, what has this got to do with Numbers 35? I'm getting there. Getting there. You see, Israel's mistake is they saw the giants in the land and thought about themselves. But their posterity had to wander for 40 years because of their narrow-sightedness, unbelief, saying they couldn't do what they gave up. It's like, okay, what are you going to do? If you're not going to go forward and take the land, what else you going to do? Stay here? Go back to Egypt? He done told you you're not going back there. So what are your options? You press forward. That's what you do. And you keep pressing. Something's going to give, as long as you don't give up. So you got to look past your self-imposed limitations. You must look beyond your past failures and mistakes. You got to look past your age. You got to look beyond your education and your skill set. If you would have told me when I was a boy that I would be doing the things that I'm doing right now, I would have laughed at you. Couldn't see it. And that the fact that the Almighty would use somebody like me and he'll use somebody like you. He's just looking for somebody who's willing and who's available. You must stay focused on the present and the future, looking unto Yeshua, the author and finisher of your faith. Your inheritance is in YeHoVaH. Now, I know we look into parents and folks who are going to leave us some stuff. But The greatest inheritance is not what your parents leave you, but what the Almighty has in store for you. So 9.5 tribes of Israel had an inheritance of tribal land to look forward to. 2.5 tribes had been given their land, but had to help the other 9.5 tribes conquer their inheritance. Levi, the 13th tribe, was to be given land within the 12 tribes, and in those lands, cities of refuge were to be established. Numbers 35:1. And YeHoVaH spoke unto Moses in the plains of Moab by Jordan near Jericho. Now, if you had a map, you could see where Jericho was. It's on the, where they were on the other side or near the Jordan before they crossed over. Because remember, Gad, Reuben, and a half tribe of Manasseh was beyond Jordan, and the other tribes had to be established on the other side of Jordan, which is what we know today as modern Israel. And also, I'm going to show you some maps here to where it's important for you to see, and I'll explain to you when I get to it, to see the transitions that Israel has kind of gone through over the years up to this moment. And so, he says, command the children of Israel that they give unto the Levites of the inheritance of their possession. So he's instructing the Israelites about their inheritance and how they're going to have to share their inheritance before he gave them their inheritance. That they give unto the Levites of the inheritance of their possessions, cities to dwell in, and you shall give also unto the Levites suburbs for the cities round about them. And the cities shall they have to dwell in. And the suburbs of them shall be for their cattle and for their goods and for all their beasts. And the suburbs of the cities, verse 4, which you shall give unto the Levites shall reach from the wall of the city and outward 1,000 cubits round about. And you shall measure from without the city on the east side 2,000 cubits, and on the south side 2,000 cubits, and on the west side 2,000 cubits, and on the north side 2,000 cubits, and the city shall be in the midst. This shall be to them the suburbs of their cities. So YeHoVaH is going to give the tribe of the tribe of Reuben a certain amount of land. But within the tribe of Reuben, they're going to have to share it with the Levites. And each of the 12 tribes that land is allotted to, they're going to have to share it with some Levites within their land and cities and suburbs. And so he gives them the measurement. Cities of refuge is because Israel was established by YeHoVaH as a country of law and order. Now, that's a term you hear a lot, especially when it comes down to election cycles. Individuals who want to bring back law and order, individuals who want to deal with crime, individuals who want to reduce the crime rate. And so these become platforms. And in order to do that, now you have a people that is responsible for the disorder or for the breaking of laws and how lawmakers are soft on crime and all of this kind of thing. And so what YeHoVaH wanted Israel to be was a country of law and order. Unlike other nations, Israel had laws, statutes, and judgments put in place by YeHoVaH. In other nations, man made the laws. In this nation, man makes the laws. But Israel was the nation that YeHoVaH established the laws, the statutes, and judgments. He put them in place by YeHoVaH, by himself, to protect the innocent and punish the guilty. Now, some hard things are going to be said in this particular passage that liberal-minded individuals may have an issue with. It is written in Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 1, it says, Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you for to do them. that you may live and go in and possess the land which Jehovah God of your fathers giveth you. You shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish aught from it, that you may keep the commandments of YeHoVaH your Elohim, which I command you. Your eyes have seen what Jehovah did because of Baal Peor. That's when Israel went in with the women, in Moab, and they committed sin. For all the men that followed Baal Peor, Jehovah thy Elohim hath destroyed them from among you. So he reminded them, but you did cleave unto Jehovah your Elohim, are alive every one of you this day. But ye that did cleave. Behold, verse 5, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Jehovah my God commanded me, this is Moses talking, that you should do so in the land, whether you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes, and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. Now, why would the nations call this nation a nation of wise and understanding people? That these people are wise and understanding. Well, what is that saying about themselves? Because if you're identifying a people as a nation that is wise, a great nation, and an understanding people, the only reason why they are that way is because Jehovah gave them the laws to keep. Now, anybody who don't want to be wise and great and understanding, all they have to do is just follow the laws of men. That's it. And then he goes further. For what nation is there so great, who hath God so near unto them, as Jehovah your God is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there, so great? And this is the one that gets me. What nation is there so great that has statutes, judgments that are so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day? Now, a person who rejects the law of YeHoVaH that is righteous have no intent of becoming righteous, unless their righteousness is that of men, unless their righteousness is in their denominations, the Pharisees, the Sadducees. And Yeshua said to his disciples, he says, your righteousness has to exceed there. Well, wait a minute. How do your righteousness exceed the righteousness of the righteous ones? Because their righteousness is perception. They're teaching for commandments the laws of men, not the laws of YeHoVaH. Therefore, their worship is what? In vain. To properly punish a crime, a proper trial and verdict must be reached by those judging the crime or actions of the person who committed a crime. Cities of refuge is where a person guilty of unintentional manslaughter might escape blood revenge. Jehovah had already established in Exodus 21, verse 12, he says, he that smiteth the man so that he die shall be surely put to death. And if a man lie not in wait, but God deliver him into his hand, then I will appoint thee a place whither he shall flee. But if a man come presumptuously upon his neighbor to slay him with guile, thou shalt take him from mine altar, that he may die. And he that smiteth his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. And he that curses his father or his mother shall surely be what? Put to death. And if men strive together, and one smite another with a stone or with his fist, and he die not, but keepeth his bed, if he rise again and walk abroad upon his staff, then shall he that smote him be quit. Only he shall pay for the loss of his time, and shall cause him to be thoroughly healed. And so he's laid all this out in Exodus, and now here in Numbers, he's going to explain where these cities that they are to flee to are. Verse 6, Numbers 35. And among the cities which you shall give unto the Levites, there shall be 6 cities for refuge, which you shall appoint for the manslayer, that he may flee thither, and to them you shall add 42 cities. So all the cities which you shall give to the Levites shall be 48 cities. Them shall you give with their suburbs. Now, Joshua 20 breaks down the Levite cities in the tribal lands. The tribe of Kohath, the Levites, will receive 23 cities. Gershon will receive 13 cities, and Merari will receive 12 cities, for a total of 48 cities. Verse 8, Numbers 35. And the cities which you shall give shall be of the possession of the children of Israel. From them that have many you shall give many, but from them that have few you shall give few. Everyone shall give of his cities unto the Levites according to his inheritance, which he inherited. So now he's saying you got to share your inheritance. That which I give you, you're going to have to share it. The children of Israel were commanded to share their land inheritance with the Levites. Verse 9, Numbers 35. And YeHoVaH spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When you become over Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall appoint you cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the slayer may flee thither, which killeth any person at unawares. So this unawares here is in error. They weren't trying to hurt the person. Well, they may have been trying to hurt the person to stop them, but they weren't trying to kill the person. So they killed them unintentionally. And therefore, if a person kills someone unintentionally, it was not done intentionally. All they had to do was get to a city of refuge, and they would be safe. Now, between where it happened and the city of refuge, you can't have a second thought. Once a person realizes what has happened, they have to flee. Why? Because there's some more instructions. Unintentional manslaughter required a trial of the person at the but unintentional manslaughter required a trial, but the person had to flee to a city of refuge. Verse 12, and they shall be unto you cities for refuge from the avenger, that the manslayer die not, until he stand before who? The congregation. See, Paul speaks to us in the New Testament when he says, you, the people, the congregation, y'all going to be judging angels. Y'all going to be judging people. You should be able to judge a matter amongst yourselves. We don't need to be going to the courts. We don't need to be going to the courts of men when we already have a court of our peers within the body. But it wasn't something that was established in the New Testament. This was established in the Old Testament as well. They will stand before the congregation in judgment. The congregation is the assembly, the gathering. This is from the root of 05707, which is one who is witnessed. So now what you see here from this verse is they're going to have to stand before the congregation in judgment, and amongst the congregations, the witness who saw what took place or who's testifying is going to now have to testify, because we're going to see that in order for a person to be put to death, they needed more than one witness. Verse 13, and of these cities which you shall give, 6 cities shall you have for refuge. You shall give 3 cities on this side of Jordan, and 3 cities shall be given, shall you give in the land of Canaan, which shall be cities of refuge. So there's one side of Jordan, which was not necessarily Canaan according to this verse, but on the other side of Jordan is where the land of Canaan existed, in the sense of where. So think about this. Reuben, Gad, and a half tribe of Manasseh had already been given land on the other side of Jordan before crossing over Jordan into Canaan. It's important that you see this. 6 cities total, 3 cities on each side of the Jordan River. These cities are named in Joshua 20. We won't do that now. We'll deal with that when we get to Joshua. You should also note the locations of these cities were all in Israelite territory allotted to them by YeHoVaH as their inheritance. And here's the first map. So you can see that black line down the center there. That's the Jordan River. At the top, you'll see that blue, that's the Sea of Galilee. And at the bottom, you'll see the Dead Sea. So the green, the clementine or tangerine, and the orange on the right side of that map, that's in the land of what is today Syria and Jordan. But this was land, this was what was given to Israel. This was given to Israel by who? YeHoVaH. Now, last week we saw that YeHoVaH gave Lot's children some land. He gave Edom, Esau's children, some land, and that land was for them. This is what YeHoVaH gave to the 12 tribes. The cities of refuge on this map, you'll see Kodesh, Golan, Ramoth Gilead, Bezer, Hebron, Shechem. These are the cities within the land of Israel, 3 on one side of Jordan and another 3 on the other side of Jordan. Now, I'm showing you these maps because I'm showing you the land that was given to the Israelites in the 12 tribes. Today, or without the cities of refuge, this is another to where if you do an overlay of these cities, you can kind of see where some of these lands are. And then, modern Israel does not occupy land on the other side of the Jordan today and shares land within its borders with the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. Now, this is a result of a number of things because once Father brought the children of Israel in the land, they defiled the land. They caused problems in the land. They didn't let the land rest. YeHoVaH took them out of the land and took them into Babylon. The children of Israel has been displaced from the land on a number of occasions. And then when the last temple, Herod's temple, was burned to the ground and the Romans took over, Israelites fled again. And here in 1948, you'll see where some began to migrate back to the land of Israel and then establish the land of Israel. And there were some wars that took place even during that time. It is surprising to know that Israel used to have control of the Temple Mount. They had control of the Gaza Strip. They had control of the West Bank. They had control of all this stuff. But they relinquished it. Most likely, and no one really can tell you the main reasons other than pressures from different nations in the United States. But the fact is that Israel had land that it was perfectly entitled to, given to them by YeHoVaH, but talked out of and negotiated amongst men. This is Israel today. Now, that red line running down the center, that's the Jordan River. If you see that tannish color to the right there, that's Jordan. Up above, that's Syria. And above there to the left, next to the Mediterranean Sea, is Lebanon. And then you see the brown within the yellow, the big swat next to Amman, Jordan, right by the Dead Sea, upward near the Sea of Galilee. You see the West Bank, Palestinian territory. And then you'll see over on the left, next to the Mediterranean Sea, that little strip of land called Gaza. And now there are nations that are forbidding Israel from reoccupying its own land, the land that was given to it by YeHoVaH. This is where man begins to take control or try to take control of the land that the Almighty established and allocated to whom he wanted it to have. And this is what man does today to what Father is saying to us or to you. Man is trying to negotiate or to talk you out of or to enter into some kind of agreement or some kind of covenant or whatever the case may be. And you have to stay focused on what the Almighty has called you to do, or people will talk you out of that which is rightfully and inherently yours. These 6 cities shall be a refuge, both for the children of Israel and for the stranger and for the sojourners among them. Interesting. YeHoVaH is looking out for everybody, is he not? The stranger, the sojourner, as well as Israel. That everyone that killeth any person unawares may flee. It's not just for the Israelites, for the strangers who live amongst them, for those who sojourn among them. Why? Because there's only one law for everybody. And if he smite him with an instrument of iron so that he die, he is a murderer. Now, what you're going to see here is there's a difference between one who is a murderer and one who is a manslaughter. One who takes a person's life but without intent, and then one who does not take the proper restraints to keep from murdering. This is a person that just doesn't think about what they're doing. They're gonna do whatever it is they want to do without any form of restraint. And now it seems as if, well, it says, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. And if he smite him with throwing a stone, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall be put to death. Or if he smite him with a hand weapon of wood, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. Now we see YeHoVaH said this 3 times for these particular reasons, because he's going to say some things that is going to tie Israel's hands. Murder for murder. Verse 19, the revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer, and when he meeteth him, he shall slay him. So now you have a revenger of blood. Now remember, YeHoVaH is the only one who can carry out vengeance, except in this case. And he permits a kinsman to take vengeance on one who has murdered a kinsman. That's their right. So he says, the revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer. Now, if the revenger of blood slay the murderer, the revenger of blood is not a murderer. The revenger of blood is to redeem, to act as a kinsman redeemer, to avenge, to revenge. Verse 20. But if he thrust him of hatred or hurl at him by laying of weight, that he die. Now, he's not talking about the revenger of blood. He's going back to the person who is committing an act that is going to cause somebody to die. He said, or in enmity. Now he's premeditating. Smite him with his hand that he die. He that smote him shall surely be put to death, for he is a murderer. The revenger of blood shall slay the murderer when he meet him. Unintentional death. But if he thrust him suddenly without enmity, or have cast upon him anything without laying of weight, or with any stone wherewith the man may die, seeing him not, and he cast it upon him that he die, and was not his enemy, neither sought his harm. Now we see accidental murder, or accidental death. It's not called murder. So now we're going to look at the role of the congregation. It's the congregation's responsibility to judge in this matter, to issue a verdict that is either going to deliver the person and set them free and restore them, or the person's going to have to suffer. Verse 24. Then the congregation shall judge between the slayer and the revenger of blood according to these judgments. Notice, the congregation shall judge. Verse 25. The congregation shall deliver the slayer out of the hand of the revenger of blood. Or 3. Congregation shall restore him to the city of his refuge, whether he has fled, and he shall abide in it unto the death of the high priest, which was anointed with the holy oil. Now remember, there's only one high priest, but there's 6 cities. One high priest, 6 cities. So whatever city this person gets to, they must remain in that city till the high priest, wherever the high priest is, dies. Once the high priest dies, then this person now is acquitted. There's amnesty. He can leave that refuge city and nobody can lay a hand on him. They can be angry. They may not think it's fair, but as long as he stay in that city until the high priest die, if the avenger of blood act out and kill that person after the high priest dies, then the avenger of blood is now what? A murderer. This is the law. The slayer is safe only in the city of refuge. Verse 26. But if the slayer shall at any time come without those borders of the city of his refuge, whether he was fled, and the revenger of blood find him outside the borders of the city of his refuge, and the revenger of blood kill the slayer, he shall not be guilty. Why? Because the slayer did not stay within the confines of his safety. Because he should have remained in the city of his refuge until the death of the high priest. But after the death of the high priest, the slayer shall return into the land of his possession. Once the high priest is dead, the slayer is free. Verse 29. So these things shall be for a statute of judgment unto you throughout your generation in all your dwelling. Now, this last verse, or moving toward the last verse, 2 or more witnesses required for the death penalty. Verse 30. Whosoever killeth any person, the murderer shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses. But one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die. So you need more than one witness to testify. No one is above the law. Now, I know you hear these things. And people can boast that they could stand in the city, in the street of a large city and shoot somebody, and folks will still be with them. That's a bold statement. But I think that many of us can kind of come to the conclusion that that might be true. I mean, when we look at how things have played out and how things have happened and how, mutiny and insurrections and whatever term you give it, and how grown men are kissing the ring and bowing down, even when the person they bowing down to done dogged out their wives, called them all kinds of names, embarrassed them publicly. I mean, politicians will do some strange stuff to stay in power. But it happens. No one is above the law. Verse 31. Moreover, you shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death. Now, if you don't look up that word satisfaction, you may come away with the wrong understanding. That word is ransom or bribe. You can't bribe your way out of it. There's no ransom that you can pay. There's no sum of money that you can give to get out of it. And you'll see why here in a moment. So moreover, you shall take no bribe, no ransom, no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is, well, what if it's a popular person? What if it's the king? Moreover, you shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death, but he shall be surely put to death. And you shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the priest. And so what is he saying? That if the person who has been shown that he killed somebody unintentionally, don't feel pity for him. I mean, you could feel pity for him, but if he leave that city, he dead. You can feel what you want to feel. But the word is out, if the avenger of blood catch him outside that city, again, that word there is kopher. Now, I highlighted the origin, which is from 337:22, because that word kopher comes from the word kafir, or kafir, which is the word we get atonement from. The word we get atonement from. Now, you're going to see why these words are there. The word atonement is how that word is used, and the root, or the root word for the word kopher, or satisfaction. You can't pardon them. Notice here, the word atonement: purge, reconciliation, reconcile, forgive, purge away, pacify, be merciful, cleanse, disannul, appease, put off, pardon. A murderer could not be atoned for except by the blood of the murderer. No animal blood can atone for this. Now, this is not me. This is YeHoVaH. He's the one who's making this blood for blood. Numbers 35:33. So you shall not pollute the land wherein you are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Now you can go all the way back to Noah, and he says, listen, if a person takes another's life, his life will be required. And here he's saying, you shall not pollute the land wherein you are, for blood it defileth the land. So if you don't kill the murderer who has shed blood, then the whole land is defiled. And there is only one option for the land to be cleansed. The murderer must die. The murderer must die. Now, I know some folks are looking at me quite strange right now because they got loved ones who have murdered. And they want, don't want the death penalty. They want them to be where they can go and visit with them. And I'm not, I have no dog in that fight. I have no pros and no cons. It's all about what did the Almighty say, and it's like, Your Honor, so you saying you for the death penalty? Hey, I'm for what YeHoVaH said. If I'm a law-abiding citizen according to the kingdom of YeHoVaH, then I have to go along with what YeHoVaH said. I don't have an opinion in that matter. In fact, I can take an opinion and then I find myself on the wrong side of the matter. And I don't want to be on the wrong side of the matter for nobody when it comes to, YeHoVaH. So he says, you shall not pollute the land. In other words, if you don't kill the murderer, you pollute the land and you defile it. And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. So no bulls, no rams, no goats, no bribe, no pardons. Again, I'm not making this stuff up. To pollute, to defile, to be profane, to be defiled, polluted, corrupt, And this is where you find these corrupt politicians. You got folks who are pardoning people who have broken the laws, and some of them are pardoning people for money, for bribes, whatever the case may be. See, when man make laws, the laws man make is not for the men that made them. It's for everybody else. How you gonna make a law that's going to put you in jail? You're gonna find you may make the law, but then there's several loopholes around the law over here. This is the thing why you see folks arguing over these things, and they talk about pork and you know, loading the bill up with a lot of nonsense because they're trying to push one thing, but there's 200 other things that they done tied to the one thing. And you focus on the one thing, and it's like the 200 other things is going to be lining their pockets. It's like, don't look over here, look over there, look at that, look at that. That's what the media, they got the media telling you what to look at. Think about it. You don't go looking for stories. The media sends them to you. And that's what you start talking about during the course of the day, is what's in the news. All these other third, fourth, fifth, sixth, see, they hide their stuff on the sixth page of the newspaper. You looking at headlines. Anyway, let me keep moving. A person guilty of murder must be put to death, or the land is polluted and defiled. And here's the last verse. This, defile not therefore the land which you shall inhabit, wherein I dwell, for I, YeHoVaH, dwell among you, among the children of Israel. And this is the most powerful statement in this whole passage. Because what is he saying? He's saying, listen, there are conditions that must be met in order for me to dwell in the midst of you. And I can't dwell in the midst of you if these conditions are not met. I will not dwell in a land that is defiled. Now, you could dwell in a land that's defiled, and they did until YeHoVaH drove them out because they defiled the land. You can live in defilement. You can live in uncleanness. YeHoVaH is not going to, he hasn't killed people because they've decided to live in uncleanness. Now, what's interesting about this word defile is not the same word as the last word defiled. This word is tameh. No, it's kanah. Wait a minute. No, that's the wrong word. There we go. Oh, defile not therefore the land which you shall inherit, wherein I dwell, for YeHoVaH, I YeHoVaH dwell among the children of Israel. And here this word is tameh. This word is tameh. To be unclean, become unclean. Now what's interesting is that when you look at Leviticus chapter 11, that's the same word for uncleanness as far as things that are not to be eaten. Things that are not to be eaten. Pork, shellfish, unclean things. Why? Because it renders a person unclean. But also when you come in contact with things that can render you unclean. And why is this important? Because YeHoVaH is saying, listen, I dwell in the midst of you. Therefore, it's important that you do not defile the land. But also, if you study Revelation and you look at the new Jerusalem, nothing unclean is going to enter into that city. Nothing unclean. And that word unclean goes back to this word. No unclean person. In fact, before you get to Revelation, if you read Paul, the preacher of grace, Paul says, no unclean person will even inherit the kingdom. Goes back to this word. Well, wait a minute, brother. We could eat whatever we want. You can say what you want to say, but when you start searching this stuff out, it don't say what you think it says. And this is why you have to search the scriptures. Because people are saying Paul said stuff that Paul didn't say. Your preachers said it. And they put the words in Paul's mouth, And because you eat from the regurgitated food from the preachers and the ministers, people are eating unclean thing and don't even know it. That's why you can't put your eternal security in the hands of men. You got to take responsibility for that yourself. You can't be some ignoramus person going to church and just sitting there like some baby bird waiting to be fed. Well, you know, I don't know. I go to church now and I don't get fed like I used to. Well, you know, you don't let the preacher come to your house and spoon feed you your dinner. Brothers and sisters, we have to take responsibility. So this word tameh, he says, do not defile the land because I dwell among the children of Israel. And that word tameh, it gets into all kinds of uncleanness, sexual, religious. Why? For YeHoVaH dwell in the midst of his people. The people must not be polluted or defiled. YeHoVaH is the same today. He desires to dwell amongst his people, and it's important for us who is his people that we keep ourselves clean. And when we see or we find ourselves in uncleanness, I'm thankful that there is a remedy for uncleanness. And one is once you recognize it, you confess it. You confess it. And then whatever is required is what is required. If Father says to you, you know, if you confess your faults, you know, he is faithful and just. But in order to confess it, you have to believe in your heart. See, there is a confession with the mouth that comes from the belief in the heart. And the belief in the heart is that I recognize it. I'm not going to recognize I'm unclean if I don't even believe in uncleanness. And I'm certainly not going to confess nothing because that don't even apply. But if you recognize, then you acknowledge. Now, if I'm acknowledging something is unclean, then why would I keep doing it? Now it's about avoiding it. And then I'm confessing, Father, I recognize that I've done something that is displeasing to you. I'm asking you to forgive me and then cleanse me from it, purge it from me so I don't desire to do that anymore. And when we do that, then again, he is faithful and just to not only forgive us, but to cleanse us from all of it, to purge it from us. And now it's as if we've never done it. And we move forward. Now the enemy is there whispering in your ear and screaming at you, oh, you done messed up for real now. God ain't gonna forgive you for that. Well, you know, as they say, when he reminds you of your past, you just remind him of his future. Father in heaven, we just thank you so much. We thank you for your goodness and your mercies. We thank you for your instructions. We thank you for all that you do in the midst of us and how you have continued to reveal yourself to us. We thank you that you make known to us your plan and your will for our lives and help us to grasp a hold of it and to walk in it. Let us not become discouraged because of the things that are going on around us, because of where other people are and what they're doing or not doing, but to be steadfast, unshakable, and unmovable, always abounding in the faith, in the word, moving forward, pressing forward. And when we've done all we know to do, we keep standing. We keep standing. We keep pressing. May our lives be a sweet aroma. May we bring glory to you all the days of our lives, and honor and praise. May others praise you for the work that you do in us and through us. As our desire is to give glory and honor to you in Messiah Yeshua. Amen. A couple of things. We're we got some announcements going to share with you in just a moment. But tomorrow night, just want to remind you that we're going to be doing part 3 of Marriage God's Way. And so we encourage you to take advantage of this 4-part series. Part 3 is tomorrow. We've already done part 1 and 2. And then the other Great Commission. Now, this particular teaching, we're going to be looking at Mark chapter 16 as we're in the last chapter of Mark chapter number 16. And we're going to be looking at the other Great Commission. Now, people are familiar with the Great Commission in Matthew chapter 28. And that's why I call this one the other Great Commission, because people are less familiar with this, which has been dubbed also the Great Commission. Amen? Any comments or questions?
From Elizabeth, a question. The sanctuary cities that they have in America today, are they mimicking the cities or these actions from the Bible, or are they totally different?
A lot of things that are in particular cities and states in man's fashions of law are taken, I believe, from terminology and words that are in the Bible. It is obvious that some of these, but a sanctuary city is not. Now there are those who will tell you that these cities that are called sanctuary cities are soft on crime, and that these sanctuary cities are generally cities that are ran by Democrats. And it's the Republicans who will tell you that these sanctuary cities, because if you look at the sanctuary cities that are across America, it's not for people to run to because they've committed a crime. It's where migrants and individuals who cross the borders illegally, that are going into these places to where they would be treated equitably and lawfully. And some believe that that existence is attracting these people to the country. So the short answer to your question is no. But the terminology for these cities, I believe it comes from the Bible. But the intent of those cities compared to the intent of the sanctuary cities in the Bible are as far as the east is from the west. Yes, ma'am.
Shalom. Two things. One, when you start talking about the high priest, when the high priest dies, then the people who have fled to the refuge cities, they are free, so to speak. That reminded me of when presidents are outgoing, they give clemency to certain people. That made me think of that.
Well, some of them don't do it when they're outgoing. Some of them do it when they're in office. Yeah.
Okay.
Because, and some are, even today, there's some who are vowing to,
Oh, yeah.
when you look at how politics works, if you've never seen the inner workings of politics, and politics is not just people who are politicians. Politics is played in every strata of human life, whether it be in a tribal village, whether it be in a university, whether it be in a school, on the job. People are always trying to figure out and play politics in the sense, which is strategizing in order to get what it is that they want by some quid pro quo. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. You look the other way on this, I'll look the other way on that. You see, and people will join forces to come against something that is a threat to both of them when they may not even like each other.
That's true.
And so you'll see politics being played in a number of ways. And already you got people who are vowing to pardon individuals if they get elected. Yes. They ain't even elected yet.
You're right.
And using that as a platform to get elected.
True.
It's some dirty business.
It is. Okay, the second thing. You mentioned there's no unclean thing that'll come into New Jerusalem. And it made me think, because I've never quite understood why there won't be any marriage in eternity, after we are resurrected. And it crossed my mind, could it be that because people can be, when you're married and you're intimate, you become unclean for a certain period of time. And let me yeah, because I want to hear everything you got to say. let me get it out. And the other thing is that Nadar, maybe women won't have to be Nadar, because if you're not married, you're not going to be having children, and so that people can come and go. And I'm thinking that if people get diseases and things like that, that would make them unclean. The leaves of the trees are for the healing of the people, so the people will always stay clean. Can you just?
I can't elaborate on it.
Yeah, okay.
Because, I try to, again, if I allow my mind to go into certain places, and I've allowed my mind to go into certain places and conversations, especially when I used to smoke weed.
Okay, Arthur.
No, you know how them conversations can go.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's like, well, I don't know if it's going to be like that.
I'm straight right now.
You straight?
I'm straight.
Okay. Yeah, but they are never ending.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
From Elizabeth, a comment. If a person can go during biblical times to a sanctuary city, why or what would make one want to leave that city, knowing that their blood could still be spilt from whomever is trying to avenge the murder of their family member?
Well, typically, a person who's running for the sake of saving their lives are trying to save themselves for whatever reason. And generally, you'll find that let me go back. Every tribe and every family in every tribe had tribal land. And next week, we're going to get into, Father willing, we're going to get into the daughters that are petitioning for their land because there was no brothers. We talked a little bit about that a few chapters ago, but we're going to see it play out in the last chapter, or in chapter number 36. And so, if I'm a member of any particular tribe, I have property. I have inherited land. Chances are I have loved ones, I have relatives, I have cousins, uncles, and aunts, nieces and nephews. May even have a wife or a husband, because it's not pertaining to whether it's a man or woman, you see. So the desire will be to return to that land. Now, the sad thing about it is that you can't return to the land, because even though you've been tried to have killed someone unintentionally and therefore you're not a murderer, there's still a revenger of blood. And the only thing that keeps that avenger or that revenger of blood from killing you is you stay in the city, or the high priest dies, and now you can go back, and hopefully it ain't a young high priest. Because you could be there a minute. Just say it. Be praying for the high priest to die. Lord, he's still living. He's still living. I want to go home. Daylight come, man. I want to go home. Yes, ma'am.
We have a question from Simone. Is it okay to burn incense in your home, particularly frankincense or myrrh, or is it only for the Levites?
Well, there's a certain mixture that one is not to mix that is specifically for the sanctuary or for the altar of incense. As far as burning incense in your home, that's absolutely fine, unless, of course, you're trying to replicate that particular mixture, which is forbidden. So if you wanted to burn frankincense or myrrh, the only thing I would say to you is make sure you don't get that cheap stuff, because the cheap stuff has a lot of filler. And you'll be inhaling that smoke, you see. I would encourage, because in my home, I have frankincense burner, and I turn it on sometimes. I have diffusers that I use oil in, and I turn that on. But what I know is that this stuff is 100%, and it doesn't have all of these additives and all of these fillers that I'm inheriting, because that gets in the air and you're breathing it. And so you just want to make sure. And I remember back in the day, man, incense used to be a thing. These sticks and then these little cubes, and you burn them things all day, and room full of smoke, incense. But you'll notice also that in the Episcopal Church, in the Catholic Church, in the Anglicans, and in some of the Orthodox, the priests have these incense burners. And they go up and down the aisles on their march into the podium or pulpit area with these incense censers. In fact, you'll find that as we were going through Numbers, that tribes and individual family members had censers. And these censers, I would dare say, is what they were burning something on, probably incense. Yes, ma'am.
Simone has a follow-up comment. Thank you. Yes, I want pure ones indeed.
Amen. Yeah, if you got any good smelling scents, you could tell when you're in the company of cheap incense. Man, it just started giving me, for me, my head, it's like, I hold my breath. I've been in places where I have to hold my breath until it's like going into a gas station restroom. It's a different smell, but I'm just trying to make a point. It's so bad, man. It's like I cannot let that stuff go through my lungs. Any other comments, questions? Then I think we're done here. Yes.
All right, shalom again. These days are passing really quickly.
They are.
We're on the 21st day of the 11th month. Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, First Fruits is coming up quite quickly. So sign up for the app or follow us on Facebook so you'll get the notification when we're actually the first day of the 12th month. I want to mention again that the Eastern Pennsylvania HOI Fellowship are having Arthur there on Sabbath, April the 6th in Elkins Park, Pennsylvania. The fellowship is at 10 a.m. The service is at 11. And after service, they're going to have food feasting. They need you to RSVP by February the 15th because they have limited seating. The phone number to make your reservation is 215-980-5816. I'll repeat it, 215-980-5816. And you also can find this information if you go to the website and you go to the About drop-down, look at About Arthur Bailey, and slide over to his speaking engagements. And the last thing I want to mention is that if you need a 2023 giving receipt, please go to Contact Us and request it. Thanks so much.
Thank you. With that said, we're going to bring this part of we're going to come to the end of our searching the scriptures for Thursday. And certainly appreciate you all joining in with us. Father in heaven, we're so grateful for your presence again. We thank you for your instructions and insight. We thank you for revealing to us your purpose and your plan. And help us to see things from your perspective, not from our governmental. It's good to see things from a government point of view and even from a communal point of view. But let us put your point of view first. we know that we are to seek first your kingdom and your righteousness, and all the other things that the world pursues, you say will be added to us. Help us to be a people that put your way above our ways and your way first, to be committed and steadfast to the instructions that you have given, because we know that you are the one who knows our end from our beginning. We know you are our great protector. You are our provider. In fact, you are our all in all. And so we honor you and we bless you and we thank you. Be glorified in us. Receive your blessing. Oh, yes. Let me, before we do that, for those of you who would like to support our ministry, please, on our website, arthurbaileyministries.com, you can support us simply by going to the donate section on the website. Now, if you go to the donate section, you'll see that there are ways that you can give to our ministry. And there are ways that you can give where 100% of your contribution comes to us. Those are the areas in which you can give to us through bill pay, Zelle, Cash App, Venmo, checks, money orders. You can use online giving through PayPal. You can call your gift in. You can wire, text. All of these means and methods we provide because of requests by people. We started off with one means, and folks said, well, can we do this, and can we do that, and can I give this way? And next thing you know, we got a page full of ways in which people give. And so don't be intimidated by the page. Whatever means is best for you, then that's the mean you choose to use. I mean, and we got people still. My daughter sent me something through Apple Pay. And now it's like, you know, I got to go and register for Apple Pay to receive the money. And it's like, you know what? I don't want to sign up for another. It's a lot to keep up with. Got to remember all that stuff. And so, you know, and I don't like passwords on my phone, because somebody get a hold of my phone and they got access to all your stuff, all your resources. So anyway, these are ways. Fortunately, nobody has asked us to add pay, Apple Pay. And of course, you know, if somebody do, man, I should have kept that close. Anyway, probably will get a request. Yes, did you? Okay. I think we got a last minute.
Yes. Dolene has a question.
Who?
Dolene.
Dolene. Shalom, Dolene.
Shalom was the law for atonement for the land by the blood of the murder just for the nation of Israel. Cain was protected by YeHoVaH.
Yeah. Understand that before we get to Israel, Father said that sin was not known. And really, it wasn't until the law where Father began to identify what men could and could not do, and should not do. And so to bring Cain in this equation, well, we see that Father did put a mark on him, and I guess the mark was kind of like that particular protection that nobody could touch him because he had murdered his brother. I don't think there was sanctuary city. So I see where you're coming from with that, and that's certainly a possibility. However, when the law was given, then there was designated places. It seemed like Cain could go anywhere he want, but everybody knew, and it's like, I find that to be quite interesting, that the mark said something to the people who saw it. Because everywhere Cain went, it's almost as if the Almighty had to whisper in their ear saying, don't touch him. I don't know how that happened, but I could see there possibly being some kind of connection there. So thank you for bringing that out. Okay. At this time, I want to release you. YeHoVaH bless you and keep you. YeHoVaH cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. YeHoVaH lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen. Thank you again for joining us today. We look forward to being with you for our premiere tomorrow at 8 p.m., ArthurBaileyMinistries.com. And of course, on Sabbath, we will be back together live here at House of Israel. And you're all welcome to join with us. And until Shabbat, Shalom, saints. Shalom, saints. Tithing and giving first fruit offerings are critical parts of the believer's faith and has its foundation back in Genesis 4:4, when Abel brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And YeHoVaH had respect unto Abel and to his offering. Abel was commended by YeHoVaH in Hebrews 11:4, where it states that by faith Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gifts, and by it he being dead yet speaketh. Solomon said in Proverbs 3:9-10, honor YeHoVaH with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So shall your barns be filled with plenty, and your presses shall burst out with new wine. The prophet Malachi wrote in chapter 3, verse 11 and 12, to bring ye all the tithe into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, says YeHoVaH of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there should not be room enough to receive it. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, says YeHoVaH of hosts. And all nations shall call you blessed, for you shall be a delightsome land, saith YeHoVaH of hosts. When we tithe and give offerings consistently in obedience to YeHoVaH's commandments, we can count on him to keep his promises to us and consistently meet all of our needs. It is our Father's desire to bless you. However, it begins with you and your act of obedience to tithe and give offerings. Do it today. Shalom.
For more information, visit www.arthurbaileyministries.com or call 888-899-1479. House of Israel International Services is made possible through financial contributions from brothers and sisters like you. Thank you.